Listen, I've got a 10:30 call, but I want to talk to you because as I was reading through your paper, you saw the questions that I asked.
Yeah.
I think what would be interesting is that sometime next week, I share it on my blog, which has about 14,700 followers, and then socialize it. You'll have to send me that copy, as you say, without the signature page.
Sure.
But like different questions, like one of the things came to mind is why the construction industry? I know it's a tough industry, and I know there's a lot of things happening. And how did you come to select them?
So I suppose twofold. Number one, from a business context, and then also from how do you apply that to the organizational norms around culture, and then you get the concept of the data culture. Was something that fundamentally they just didn't understand, right? The leadership team didn't understand it. I'd go to these board presentations, the board didn't understand it, and it's really because several factors. One is because the traditional nature of UK was just something that was considered so far out there. We haven't got time for this. We're working on 0.5 to 2% net margin. Investment in this, in anything digitalization, anything around process architecture. Even in our IT estate, was seen as like pie in the sky stuff, right? Which is fundamentally goes against, or it's a bit of a paradox against the fact that you've got 0.5 to 2% net margin, right? Somebody that's interested in technology and obviously in the mechanics of data, that is where you're going to enhance your margin, right? Fundamentally get that piece right, and you start to get much more P&L impact off the back of it. So that's the reason why I was interested in it.
That's right. Now, let me ask you this question, though, from the construction, because some of the points you raise, I believe, are, I would use the word transferable, but they're applicable to other industry sectors as well when it comes to a data culture. I sent you a link to an article on the Twilight Zones. Have a read of those. And, I found it very interesting that when he took the head of Microsoft, he had to create a data culture. The HBR article talked about the fact that most recognize they don't have a data culture. So it is some of the principles, unless I'm mistaken, do apply right across the board. I mean, is that a fair assessment?
That's a fair assessment. And the concept's the same, right? I see the same problem. We see the same problem across both public and private sector, into the subsectors, both in the UK and outside of the UK, across Europe, into North America. The concept's the same, right? It just happened to be that I applied it to a large infrastructure organization at that time.
All right, let's go on to the next thing, because this is something that's interesting to me as well, because you talked about replacing defective human thinking with digital terminology. And one of the things that's interesting, remember, I'm a tech guy. I go back, but one of the things that came out are statistics saying, for example, the CFO, the majority of them fear AI and the black box syndrome. They, it's like, how are they making decisions? Where are we involved in those decisions? How do we know they're right? So when you talk about that technology stepping in, to what degree are you talking about it from the standpoint, and I just want to get it straight right out, is there a time from the standpoint is that it does certain things very quickly and responsive to real time, but it doesn't remove the human experience and expertise from interpreting those things. I mean, like,
absolutely.
Where's the crossover line? Because people, I'll tell you something, we often talk about people afraid that AI is going to take jobs. And we associate that with the labor force on the front line. But do you know far more people, white collar in the legal department, finance, etc., they feel they're at greater risk because of the technology.
Yep, and I can give you a great use case, right? Let me give you a great use case. So to your first question, absolutely, the empathetic side and the experience side cannot be replaced yet, anyway, right? So from the large language models, from the vast scrubbing of billions of data sets in real time, there's a great saying on I can't remember which HBR I took it from, right? It might have been Simon Sinek actually, rather than HBR, and it's AI won't replace humans, humans with AI will replace humans without AI, right?
Okay.
And,
yep, that's a great analogy on that.
Right. And the backing of the machine to help them speed up what they're trying to do. Those are the pieces that will be replaced by the machine. Right. Back to the point around the human with the AI, the human utilizing the AI will far replace the human without the AI. Right. So the relationship nature of procurement won't go. You still will always need these calls that you or I are having, right? You couldn't replace Joe and John having a conversation around Joe's thesis to talk about intricate questions that you want to know more in detail. You wouldn't be able to replace it because you don't know what I'm going to say. You can predict it, but it's not exact, right? So you're always going to need the human experience and the creative nature of the human mind to answer questions. But the machine can do the transactional execution 24/7, 365, doesn't matter what time of day, where you are in the world, it can do it in 2 seconds. No human can ever do that, right? The ones that use it, the ones that are early adopters, are the ones that will be, whether it be a corporation or a government level, or whether it's an individual level. That's the piece that I'm talking about.
Your comment is people without AI will lose their jobs to people with AI. Back in late 90s, early 2000, I set up an algorithm system for the Department of National Defense, and they had 23 buyers, and they were delivering an SLA performance of 51% on a contract that called for 90%. Now, this was algorithm self-learning. It was a web-based solution. Within 18 months of implementing the solution, the benefits already started from the very beginning. Within 3 months, they were over 97% SLA performance. But within 18 months, their department went from 23, the people managing the purchasing, down to 3. And one of the shocking things was somebody had once told me about saying, well, you get a monkey to do this now. But no, you can't. Because what you do is you interpret, you manage the process, you manage the information that you're getting. There were weighted averages, you could say. So if a procurement was based strictly on delivery, price would be weighted lower and you'd rank the suppliers.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you changed the weighted importance, saying price is the driving factor, not delivery, that same bid, the same suppliers would be re-ranked based upon pricing. And it took in consideration historical performance, that is quality delivery, timely delivery, all of those elements, current factors,
delivery, yeah, nice.
If there was interruption. So the reality of what you're saying is that, and here we are 20 plus years later, and we're still running into this fear factor of utilizing this. The data culture is a culture recognizing that data is essential, but it's not there to replace, it's there to empower. And I think that's really the key. So look, listen, I've got to end this, but what I want to do, 2 things, is number one, I would like to get that copy of the paper, because I'm going to start sharing. You know what? You've been doing this for a while. New voices coming in to the mainstream is a good idea, because it stimulates thoughts and gives a great perspective if you're up for it.
Brilliant. John, thanks very much for your time. Have a great afternoon.
No problem. Thank you. Great talking to you and meeting you.
Cheers, John.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye.